Good morning. Oh, you can't hear me. Hang on, I'll plug this in. This will make a big change. Try that. Hear me okay now. Make sure you tell me if you can't. Got microphones everywhere. I've got enough microphones to sink a ship. Oh, it might be a bit too soon to say that. Good morning, everybody. It's Saturday morning here, and we're coming to you all the way from, as usual, I forget to turn the sound off, all the way from, surprise, surprise, Dingan Deluca in Phuket. And I'm very happy to report that we have a stunning day today. Bright blue skies, and not only bright blue skies, but we've got quite a fresh breeze as well coming in from the east. And I've gone around and I've checked all the weather from around the country, and it looks like pretty much everywhere in Thailand you've got fine weather today. So that's a really good situation. Sound is a bit distorted, maybe too high input. I've got no control over the sound input at all. I suppose I could move that a bit further away. Black microphones, white t-shirt. Couldn't be worse, could it? So that's about all I can do. I've got no control over the sound input, thug life, but thank you very much for joining in. We've of course got the usual background noise here, but that's just all part and parcel of doing a show like this live. Well, I've got plenty to talk about, and you've probably got plenty to talk about as well. Imagine today we're going to have probably one of a bit of a smaller boutique crowd, but all the special people are here. And that's all that matters. A lot of people, of course, are away doing, their sort of Christmassy things. They've got together with family, they've gone on holidays, they've probably got much better things to do as far as Christmas functions and stuff. I mean, I've got quite a few different functions to go to over the next few days, including, of course, Christmas lunch tomorrow. There's definitely some clipping with the audio, but better now. There's really not much I can do about it, I'm afraid. I've got a plug and two mics. Usually this is spread amongst two people. What happened is my usual remote mic, it died during the week. It's done well for the last year, and it wasn't if I remove, okay, we'll try moving this. Playing mics, sorry to do this to you. Put this one down here as well. So I've got both mics down there now. Does that make any difference? I'm not wanting to cause you any problems. I'm here to have a chat with you. Okay, better. Thank you very much. Let's go and have a chat. I wanted to have a talk about Charles Sobhraj, the what do you call him? The Serpent. He's the one who was covered in the Netflix documentary. And this morning I absolutely loved this photo from the Bangkok Post. And hi Alex, hi KJ, hi Coco, and Frank, and Charles, Larry, Thug Life, Captain Chok D's there as well. A Korean name, beg your pardon, a Japanese name I can't read. Hello from Tokyo to you. Moses, Robbie, Paul, Lance, great to have you all with us. But I love this photo. And as you know, Charles Sobhraj, the Serpent, he spent 19 years in a Nepalese jail, and he's being released because of heart condition. I mean, he's 78, but he is a serial killer. And I think people know that because here he is sitting in a Qatar plane. And I'll do that, make sure I can see what I'm doing here, make sure you can see what I'm doing. There he is. How do you like that? Look at the person sitting next to him. She looks really happy that he's sitting next to him in the plane all the way to Qatar. So that's going to be a long flight. And, there he is, Charles Sobhraj, 78. I imagine he probably doesn't have a lot of hair, hence the reason he's wearing that peaked cap. But that plane is full, and those two passengers are not happy that they're having to sit next to Charles Sobhraj, the Serpent. And one person sent me a note during the week. Where are we? Peter Thermoclean said The Serpent is still on Netflix. I said yesterday I found it a bit gory. I think that was the wrong word. it was a bit gritty, perhaps, for me. There wasn't a lot of blood and stuff, but I suppose in anticipation of knowing what was going to happen to the people, that was enough for me, and I didn't cope very well with that. Now, we will get around to your comments, and I can see them piling up. If you've got a question or a comment, put it capitals, question or comment, and that makes it easier for me to find your comments a bit later on the program. But what's happening with Charles Sobhraj? Well, a French serial killer, well, that's basically it. Apparently committed up to 20 or 30 killings. It's not exactly known, although I imagine now that he's a free man and he's going to go back to France, probably have his heart surgery. Maybe he won't make it. But if he does, I'm sure he's going to be writing a book, and that'll be a pretty juicy book. He says, I feel great. I've got a lot to do. I have to sue a lot of people, including the state of Nepal. Asked if he thought he'd been wrongly described as a serial killer, the 78-year-old said, yes. Said yes several times. He maintains he was innocent of the 2 murders in Nepal, for which he served almost 20 years in prison. When I went to prison, I didn't do anything. More bullshit there from Charles Sobhraj. Anyway, there's that article there from the Bangkok Poster. Just once again, the photo of the day. Look at that lady. Look at her. She's so happy that he's sitting next to her on the plane. So he was off to Paris via Qatar, obviously, and then on his way to Kathmandu. Not Kathmandu. He's come from Kathmandu. So I've got a few other things to talk about. Let's go to the next story. And I've got the croaks. Last week I was sick as a dog. Now I've just sort of got the croaks, but I am fine. Cheers. Merry Christmas. The Wonderfruit Festival in Banglamung has released a statement about the 2 foreigners found unconscious who later passed away. Officials are investigating. This story from the patianews.com. And there's a statement from Wonderfruit. Where's the statement? Down here. So, in memory of the dearly departed, good heavens, what's happening there? Scott D, thank you very much. A very kind Christmas gesture, and happy holidays to you and your family. Greetings from Chicago, he says, where it's minus 18 degrees. It's going to be 30 today here, Scott. Hot. Not terribly humid, a nice easterly breeze, quite fresh. Blue skies. Minus 18 in Chicago, 30 degrees in Phuket. Not where I'd rather be. We're in the midst of a historic winter storm, he said, that's affecting most of the nation, bringing aviation to a practical standstill. Wish me luck for my flight to Thailand. Good luck, and I know it's an important trip to you, and thank you very much to your invitation publicly, and also thank you very much for your kind Christmas donation there. Frank in Thailand says, cold in Chicago. Good luck, Scott, says Paul. Frank in Thailand, happy travels. Jay Sabral says minus 25 degrees in a dry cold. I don't know where you're from, Jay, but thank you very much. Let's read this statement from Wonderfruit. And we're incredibly saddened, they say, over the tragic loss of 2 members of our community, well, they were customers, who passed away at nearby hospitals during Wonderfruit this past weekend. We cannot begin to imagine the pain and anguish felt by their family and friends. Our deepest thoughts and prayers go out to them during this incredibly difficult time. Going on, but if you want to read the full statement, you can go to the patianews.com, Pattaya News. We understand that this will affect many of us as a community. Like many of you, we are emotional and reflecting on trying to make sense of how we will evolve through this. Well, if you're throwing a music festival and you're in knowledge of those people taking illicit drugs, thanks, they've found me, then you're sort of culpable in a way, aren't you? So we've got alarms going off here at Dean and DeLuca. and there's a lot of finger pointing going on. That's going to help. I'm not sure if we can resolve this. Let's see what happens in the next couple of minutes. Oh, lady's got the fire extinguisher out. I can't see any fire. Oh, looks like they've stopped it. They just turned the power off from the fire detector. Tim's in stereo, 2 mics. Yeah, what happened? Just to explain again, I'll probably have to do this 25 times. My little remote mic that I had, my little remote neck mic, died during the week. Very sad. And so this is the setup I usually use when I've got an interview with another person. It's 2 mics into one input into the phone. Okay, let's just move on. So I'd be interested to know what you think about these deaths at Wonderfruit. And now these people running these raves, these big dance parties, these big music festivals, obviously people are going to take illicit drugs. It's just part of the culture. I get that. And I'm not against any adults doing whatever they want in their spare time with their own money, doing whatever they want. But I think they have to take a level of responsibility themselves if they want to partake in these activities. As to who the family is going to sue in this regard, that's an interesting thing. Are they going to be suing the Pattaya mayor, the Pattaya city, who I imagine licensed Wonderfruit to conduct these activities? This is a very interesting legal situation. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm just asking questions. But who is culpable in the case of these 2 people dying? Obviously, they have to face some of that responsibility themselves, although they're no longer around to do that. But it'd be interesting to see what you think about these people. Yes, the background music is quite loud today. Not particularly good either. Can't do much about that. I mean, I could walk outside, but I think it's more fun in here because I've got air conditioning blowing on me, which is nice. Just put up with the noise. It's all part of the ambience. But yeah, tell us what you think. You've got the comment section there open to you, and be interested to see what you think about those 2 deaths at the Wonderfruit Festival last weekend. And that story there, including a statement from the Wonderfruit management expressing their condolences to the family and friends, saying that their community is also very distressed at the passing of those 2 people. So, another thing talking about Pattaya, during the week it was announced that both the Chonburi, which is the sort of the main city area of the Chonburi province, which is where Pattaya is, but Pattaya is not the capital, it's the sort of Muang district, the main city centre of Chonburi. The city council there have cancelled their celebrations for New Year's. Now that's been followed by the Pattaya countdown, the people who are running the countdown, which is basically the city of Pattaya. They've cancelled the fireworks component of the New Year celebrations. So that's an interesting situation where you've got 2 countdown celebrations being either cancelled completely or muted in the case of Pattaya, where they decided not to do fireworks. Having said that, in a story on the Bangkok Post today, if I can find this, New Year celebrations not cancelled yet, officials say, and of course this has come from the Tourism Council of the Tourism Authority of Thailand. They're saying that New Year countdowns and celebrations are going ahead as planned, and they're talking here about the ones in Bangkok, as long as the government does not order any cancellations. The TAT Governor Yutisak Supasorn said at the moment the TAT has not received any warning that forthcoming after a number of provinces decided to downgrade their countdown events. He said neither the Tourism Minister nor the Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha has given any indication that events supported by private sector partnerships across 12 provinces were in jeopardy. So very interesting situation here, and I, and please you, just have to be careful with our comments in this regard. His Majesty the King's eldest daughter, his firstborn daughter, who was, I suppose, in some eyes, the heir to the throne. She became sick last Wednesday, and some announcements were made on Wednesday about her situation. They were then removed pretty much because on Thursday the palace said that she had some sort of turn and was stable and was hospitalised in Bangkok, although the incident happened up in Nakhon Ratchasima. So she remains stable according to the palace announcements, and because of that, these organisations running these celebrations have decided they want to tone down the countdowns, the celebrations into New Year. Excuse me, I'm just going to sort out this music. Nonka? The music, who's turned down midnight? There you are, I've asked to turn the music down a bit. No, the music. La-di-da-da-da. Thank you. Midnight. I'm trying to help you. I'm doing my best for you. So the situation is quite interesting because what is being published in the newspapers every day and what is actually happening in reality could be actually different things. Beyond that, I can't sort of say any more. I think you just sort of have to read the code and the fact that they're muting or cancelling these celebrations to understand what's actually going on. Having said that, that's the situation, the TAT claiming that there won't be any change to the celebrations in Bangkok anyway. And here in Phuket, which is quite a long way from Bangkok, quite a long way from the central government, as far as I know, all the countdown and the celebrations and the fireworks are continuing as per planned. Let's go to some of your comments today, and let's see what we're saying. 301 Jim said the guy should be incarcerated until his end. Well, he served 19 years in jail. He's 78 years old. Apparently he's got a heart condition. I think they turned the music off entirely. My fault? No, your fault. Frank in Thailand, your YouTube hacked. How did you receive the message? Talking about hacking, a few people, thank you Michael by the way, who said that my YouTube account had been hacked and people were placing sort of spam on it. Look, I find that all the time. Dating sites seem to always be publishing their nonsense on it. I do delete and hide as many of those spam comments that I find. If I've read the comment, I'm probably not going to go back to it, and I'm not going to see if comments or spam is added later. So I can't really do much. Yes, the music was a bit crap, Ian. Tim, you're hilarious. Oh dear, oh dear. So Ian says, can I bring a gun to Samui for my protection? Okay, so an Australian was, oh dear. Just got to scan down to find that. Coco Muang, goodness gracious, thank you so much for a very, very kind donation. Not solicited, but that's spontaneous, most surprising, and thank you very much. Coco saying, Tim, wish you happy holidays and New Year for 2023. Take a good rest, please. Coco, thank you very, very, very much. I'm stunned. But I do have to say I'm not taking any holidays. I'm on tomorrow for our Christmas program, and you're invited if you're not doing anything at 9 a.m. Thai time. We're going to have a bit of a Christmas chit-chat. Well, perhaps not reminisce so much. I think that's probably for the week after on the New Year's Eve, as we reminisce and look back at 2022. Plenty to look back on as well. Coco, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm a bit flustered. But tomorrow I'm going to put up a bit of a survey today. We'll also be talking about your favourite Christmas song, your most unfavourite Christmas song, might be the same one. Also, your favourite Christmas movie. So we'll have a talk about Christmassy things, a bit of pop culture, and cats might be involved, and I think the keyboard is coming out. So that's all coming up tomorrow as we have a bit of a Christmas Day chinwag. If you're not doing anything, if you're maybe alone on Christmas Day, then you won't be alone for at least an hour tomorrow as we get together and have a bit of a chinwag and sing along. I'm not going to sing. $50, Tim gets a 10-minute jet ski ride. No jet skis. We'll get to that in just a moment. Yes, Ian, the keyboard is coming out. They aren't messaged to only you, but public spam. Thanks, Frank. It's difficult to know exactly how this spam gets through, but it does. And as I said, I do my best to try and make sure that if you're playing around in the comments section and giving us your time and your energy, that you don't have to read all that rubbish. I do my best to delete it if I can. Thug Life says, it's interesting that YouTube does nothing about these spam accounts. Well, I think it does. I think it does try and do something about it, but it can't. As soon as YouTube sort of closes one loophole, these spammers, they find another way of getting through. I have to say, generally, I get a lot less spam in emails and in social media than I used to. I think they're getting better at being able to control the amount of spam. But look, I mean, a certain amount still does get through, and these people are all very clever. More clever than you and me, I'd suggest. Tim, Santa is in with me now, says Kimmo. Santa drinks beer and I drink vodka. Good morning from Finland. Good. Good morning, Tim. Bright and sunny in Nong Khai. Merry Christmas. That's up there, Alan. Kimmo, thank you very much. And very kind donation out of Finland. It's very kind of you. Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays, and hope you do have a good time. You'll be having a real traditional Christmas, I imagine, with snow and the whole deal. No snow here. In fact, growing up in Australia and now living in Thailand, usually on Christmas Day in Melbourne it would be like 30, sometimes even 40 degrees. And in the early days we used to sit there struggling to eat our turkey and hot roast dinner and then plum pudding, hot custard. But in latter days, I think a lot of Australians now, they like having the barbecue outside on Christmas Day, but sort of go for a barbecue and salads and ice cream and fruit salad. I think it's a lot better these days than it used to be. Here in Thailand, I think tomorrow, hi Sue and Tom, that we are probably going to be celebrating traditional Christmas lunch, and there will be turkey, maybe some lamb, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure it'll be a traditional Christmas lunch. But I don't really get a lot of roasts here. I can find them, but I don't tend to take advantage of them, so I'm sure I will enjoy that tomorrow. What are you doing for Christmas Day? Probably talk about that tomorrow as well. New Year, we see a new pandemic, says David, question mark. Well, I mean, let's hope not, but you can be assured, without putting too much of a damper on the situation, that there will be a new pandemic at some stage, if not next year, soon enough. I mean, in the 2000s, up to 2022, we've had 3 coronavirus pandemics. Well, we've had SARS, we've had I always get those mixed up. SARS, MERS, and then we've had SARS-CoV-2, which was COVID-19. So that's just in coronaviruses. And there will be, no doubt, as sure as eggs, there will be another pandemic. And my fear has always been, in the last 3 years, have we really learnt much? The way that a lot of people behaved, a lot of the anti-vaxxers, I think we've behaved deplorably, and we've got a lot to learn, and I fear what will happen in the next pandemic. Are people going to believe the scientists and the governors and the governance when they say there's problems and we need to do something about it? If you come to a respiratory disease, the best way to try and control that is to keep away from other people and to wear a face mask as a start. If it's a respiratory virus, that is by far the best way that you can avoid getting it and avoid giving it to other people, is by wearing a face mask and keeping away from other people. And that's just common knowledge. That's just bleeding obvious. So I really don't know whether we've learnt much. Detroit Dan, thank you very much. What a very kind thing to do. And he's got a little dancing Christmas ornament there. How have you gone in your house this year? Have you done the Christmas tree thing? Have you thought, does that really feel very Christmassy this year, so we might not put up the Christmas tree? So I'd be interested to hear what's happened in your house. I have to say, in my house, this year there is no Christmas tree. I'm actually alone in my house at the moment, which is the first time, I think, ever that I've spent a Christmas basically alone. Number one's out of the country. We don't have any other people in the house at the moment, so it's just me and the cats. So I didn't really feel inclined to put up the Christmas tree. Also, I think as Queen Elizabeth said back in 1990, talking about an annus horribilis. I've had a bit of an annus horribilis myself, not as bad as a lot of people, but usually I'm fairly lucky and I've had a very privileged life, but I've had a bit of a few knockbacks and a few setbacks this year. Kimo, oh, look, please stop with this. I mean, it's very kind of you, everybody, and I do appreciate these donations, but they're not expected, but lovely thoughts and very, very generous of you. But I please don't think that I'm soliciting these. I mean, I am very, very grateful, and I'll do my best to buy new microphones and invest in the channel when I get these very kind donations. But I'm not asking for them, but of course they are appreciated. Kimo, thank you very much. That's a lovely thought, and I appreciate that. So get sidetracked all the time. So yeah, be interested to hear what you're doing with Christmas this year. If you've had a bad year, have you felt inclined to put up the Christmas tree? I think if you've got kids around, of course the Christmas tree goes up. And if you're a Christian family, of course, it's just part of what you do in Western culture. But there are other people from other religions where Christmas doesn't mean anything. Although here, of course, in Thailand, they've embraced Christmas as they usually embrace a lot of different religious festivals. And of course, the Thais love the idea of buying, well, not so much buying presents, but receiving them. And the Christmas decorations at a lot of shopping centres and retail outlets is pretty amazing. If the polio virus made a vaccine-resistant comeback today, it would be a lot easier to spot the anti-vaxxers. I think you're right, Rahim. They'd be the ones walking funny or in a wheelchair. Yeah, look, there's no doubt the greatest medical advancement in the 20th century was workable and viable vaccines. They changed the lives of millions of people and stopped the suffering of millions more. Vaccines were the biggest medical advancement by far in the 20th century. But now there is just suspicion about them. And I understand that there can be suspicion, but I think if people, do a bit of investigation, if they get some knowledge, if they learn the facts, if they avoid some of the outrageous YouTube clips and social media claims, then they'll find out that vaccines can be very viable and very useful. They're not perfect, but it's a lot better than catching these viruses and continuing their spread. James says, for me, kids are grown, retired, you're retired, not the kids. Leading a simple life, I really don't celebrate holidays anymore. Well, James, hope you tune in tomorrow, maybe join in a little bit of traditional Christmas spirit, and we can have a bit of a natter for an hour or so tomorrow morning. TNT is presented in a very professional manner. Good thing Tim is independent now. Wig alert, look, just on that, TNT sort of grew out of a need for me to move on with my professional career. There was a unexpected departure during the year. Scott D, stop. So after July the 29th, when I left my last employment, where I'd been for 6 years, I would say that, I've been very lucky that I've been able to move on. I've got a great job. I love this side gig, as I call it, TNT. I spend 3 hours on it every day, and I enjoy bringing you the news and trying to analyse the news as best I can, and sharing an opinion or two.
Your guy offer your coffee that the number B table that I don't know what the
Okay,
yeah.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Tell him to come over. Somebody has bought me a coffee. Buymeacoffee.com. Not sure who that is. I told him to come and say hello. Scott, standing ovation for Sean of 5 Star Marine for his continued support of Tim Stella channel and for Sean's consistent charity work. Come here. What's your name?
William Bright.
Come and have a seat. Put this on. William, is it?
Yes.
Or Bill?
William.
Oh.
No, that's all right. Not that thing.
This is William, everybody. This is live. Where are you from?
Perth.
Perth. Look what William's brought me. Talk about happy. Oh, Larry.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Larry. Larry says, thanks, Tib. Love the show and hearing about my soon-to-be adopted country. You're coming to Thailand. A bit like William. So, from Perth.
Yes.
How hot is it in Perth at the moment?
It was 37 the day I left.
37. I love Perth. When it's hot, it's really hot, but you get that wind every afternoon.
Yep.
What's that called? The
Fremantle
Doctor.
Yeah, Fremantle
The
Doctor.
Fremantle Doctor comes in.
Yeah.
My favourite, cherry ripes. You must
Yeah.
know that I love cherry
Yeah.
ripes.
I watched your shows from when you were Tiger and right up to now.
You don't mention the word anymore. How long are you here in Phuket?
This trip, 26 days.
Okay, well that's a long trip. Have you come with family or friends? Or
I come to see family and friends.
Okay, well that's fantastic. You come to Thailand often?
This is my 3rd trip this year.
Wow, did you come when you had to do tests and all that nonsense? and
Yeah,
stuff?
March, April came
Okay,
over.
so you're an early adopter.
Well, we were, it was the first time we were allowed out of WA.
Oh, okay.
Because I was going to come over in January, but
Yep.
they kept us locked in till...
That's right, they had a really
Yeah.
severe lockdown, didn't they, in
Yeah.
Perth? Now, Perth is, I think, one of the most remote cities in the world.
Yeah.
So you're a long, long way from everything when you're in Perth, including civilization.
Not quite that bad.
So what
but,
do you do in Perth?
IT. So look after computer systems.
So you can do that while you're here in Phuket.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
But
And is that coffee from you as well?
yes, yeah.
William, you're very, very kind. I appreciate that.
That's right. You have a Merry Christmas and a Happy
Yeah.
New Year.
So what are you doing for Christmas Day?
Friends are having a big dinner. So I've got friends over from Germany and stuff here as well. So
You sort of met in the middle here in
Yep.
Phuket. William, thank you very much for dropping in. I appreciate the cherry ripe and the coffee, and for you dropping in.
No
And
worries.
Merry Christmas
you too.
and Happy New Year to you.
You
and
too.
great to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll take my mic.
Yep. Don't worry.
Say goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you. Great to
And
meet
thank
you.
you for everything, by the way.
Thank you very much. That's William there, dropping in. Not Bill, William. And he's come all the way from Perth. Oh, Kimmo, thank you very much. I'm going to have so much coffee today, I'm going to be absolutely beside myself. That was very nice, wasn't it? So, I've got cherry ripes, and you haven't. They're all for me. I'm going to eat them all today. No, I'm not. I might have one tomorrow. One a day. How about one a day? Is that okay? I do love cherry ripes. And these are nice little bite-sized ones. Probably only about 2,000 calories each. Okay, that was all a bit of a surprise. Thank you very much, William. I'll enjoy your coffee. I'll be all buzzing by the time it gets to the end of the show today. Wow, we're not really talking much about the news, are we? Question from Michael. Why did you decide not to buy the original new car, Tim, at the time you seemed to be very happy about it? Okay, so I've sort of been on a bit of a journey. A bit surprised by all these very kind donations and William dropping in. I'm a bit overwhelmed. Turning into a wonderful Christmas, isn't it? Quite by mistake. So I was going to be buying a Haval H6. Haval H6. Is it called anything else? No. It's a big medium-sized SUV. It's half electric, half petrol engine. So it's called a hybrid. Then I decided to move to the slightly smaller one called the Jolion. The Haval Jolion, which is also hybrid, but its petrol engine wasn't turbocharged. Slightly smaller car, didn't need the additional power. Then a new car was released. I've got all these deposits back and moved on, and now I'm buying a BYD Atto 3. Atto 3, Atto 4. Oh, I can't remember. BYD is a Chinese brand, stands for Build Your Dreams, and that is a full electric car. And I'm going to be doing some trips which we're going to do recordings and descriptions of from here to Bangkok and to other places in a full electric car in Thailand, and see if I have any problems with recharging it, if I get marooned somewhere in Udon Whoop Whoop without any electricity. Be calling on a few of you to bring the battery. So it's going to be a BYD Atto, I think it's an Atto 3. It's a smaller size SUV, about the same size as the car that I've had for a while, the Honda HR-V. So this is a really natty car, and I decided to take the full jump into electric vehicles. It's a little bit different, and it's moved on in its technology from cars like the Tesla, which are starting to actually show their age electric car-wise, with a lot of new battery technology coming along, which is much more ecologically sensitive and less disruptive to the environment than some of the older battery technology. So I've done a lot of reading about this, and I decided that the BYD car is a bit of a new generation of electric cars. And I thought, with a place like Phuket, there's charging stations popping up all the time, and of course you can charge it at home. For a full charge, it probably take, just on mains power, most of the night. So I can also put 3-phase power in the house and charge the car in a couple of hours. But I'll probably leave that until I've had the car for a while and see how the whole process works. Oh dear. So just a few more thank yous. OzTube. Oh my God. OzTube, thank you very, very much. It's all getting a bit embarrassing. Please stop, everybody. I'm a bit overwhelmed. OzTube, thank you so much. Says, my family will be here for Christmas lunch tomorrow, so I won't see you on the keyboard tomorrow. Ah, how sad. The good thing is on YouTube you can watch it later. But Merry Christmas, and thank you for your daily chat. OzTube, thank you very, very much. That's very kind thought. And I promise I'm not going to be doing any singing, but we might just play a few tunes very quietly. The thing is, if we're talking about Christmas songs, if I play those Christmas songs directly from YouTube, we'll get copyright notices, we'll get problems. So that's why I probably need to play them myself. So that's why. Anyway, we'll get to that tomorrow. Thank you very much, OzTube. What else have we got to talk about? Catholic. So the most important thing is nativity, more so than the Christmas tree. Thank you very much, Danielle. Or was it Daniel? I'm not sure. But yes, of course, the nativity and worshipping, I was going to say Queen Mary, worshipping Mary, the mother of Jesus, I understand is very important. Ian McNamee says, or jet. I'm not sure what that's in response to. So hopefully, Michael, that explains why I've decided to take the full jump into a full electric car. And the other nice thing is, as I travel, I've sort of got this trip planned for maybe later in January, Bangkok, Pattaya, maybe even up to parts of the northeast, and floating around parts of the south as well. So the great thing about having a big electric battery in the bottom of your car is you can run things like a kettle, a microwave, a TV, recharge all my computers. And so it's going to be interesting to see the ways that you can use these cars, besides, of course, driving in them. Don Jordan, hi William. Tim, share the candy. Not a chance in hell. Thank you, Kimo. Appreciate that. Rob, NFT, how can I cancel my membership? They say cancel anytime but can't see it on the website. You probably need to, Rob, either send an email to the people there or go onto Google and say how to cancel a YouTube membership, and it'll probably give you step by step, literally anything you can find. How to build a plane, Google. How to do this, how to build a bomb, Google. Anything you want you can find on Google these days. It's crazy. I've got all these comments, all these articles I brought up on my pad, but we're just not having a chance to get around to them. I'm sorry it's a bit of a mess today, things just happening out of the blue. And thank you very much, William, for my coffee and my... Should I eat a cherry ripe now? Oh, that would be a bit rude, wouldn't it? I won't do that to you. Good coffee here, by the way, at Dean and DeLuca. That was cool. Merry Christmas, Tim. Thank you for the great news coverage. Wei Tai. Seni Ans said, both my kids home for Christmas here in Rayong. Enjoy the holiday period. Best wishes to all. Isn't it great when you get the family to come and visit you? Well, the problem with heading home for Christmas is flights are always double the price they usually are. I noted during the week that it's been almost impossible to actually find a flight from Bangkok to Phuket. It's all fully booked. People coming down to the island for either celebrating or for heading maybe home to their family, or expats travelling down here for a few beach and sun rays. So anyway, very difficult and very expensive. Atto 3, thank you, Frank in Thailand. Santa going, I like how you treat Tom. Albert Co. Chinese car brands have good presence in Thailand. Yeah, I mean, there's more and more hybrid electric cars and full electric cars. I think it's going to be a big thing here in Thailand. Thais are really seeming to embrace them. I noticed when they launched the sale of Tesla here about, 3 weeks ago, they sold 3,200 cars on the first day. Teslas, not particularly cheap, lovely cars, but they sold so many of them on the first day. BYD is about same level as Tesla. I think BYD in the next year or two will become the world's preeminent electric car maker. I think they already make the highest number of electrified cars. That includes hybrids, but they also make a lot of buses and things like that. And now they're moving into full electric day-to-day cars. BYD is really good quality, and yes it is. The inside of the car, where let's face it, you spend most of your time, is very quirky. A bit like when the Mini came out, the BMW version of the Mini, maybe 15 years ago. It was a bit quirky and different inside. Well, this Atto is also quite quirky. I really liked it. Very comfortable to sit in, which was another problem I had with the Haval seats. I didn't feel that I had much support under my knees, and it's not as if I'm very long-legged. So I found the seats much more comfortable in the BYD. Getting comfortable in a car, of course, is pretty important because at the end of the day, that's where you spend most of your time. BYD car battery can be used to power stuff in your house, so it's an extension of my 50 kilowatt LifePo 4 home battery. Frank, sounds like you've sort of gone pretty much full solar. Might be worth an interview one day with you, Frank. It'd be very interesting to hear about that, if you've gone off the grid. Does it have a Chinese copy of full self-drive? No, this electric car doesn't have full self-drive. It's got driving assistance, like it can drive between two white lines, but it's not full self-drive, nor am I sort of in a situation where I think I'd be inclined to trust a full self-drive at this stage. Especially here in Thailand, I think you know what I mean. A question from Alex Malcolm. Do EVs attract as much import tax as other imports? Now that's an interesting question because this BYD Atto is a fully imported car, yet the price is 1,199,000 baht, which is really around the sort of price of other small SUVs. So it doesn't appear that it's got much of a tax added to it. So I think the electric cars do have some sort of dispensation when it comes to import tax. Have you seen the mess of air travel in the US this week, says Tom. Tom, is that to do with the weather? Is it to do with staff shortages? I know that's been a big problem. I know here in Thailand, staff shortages are a problem across the board. Flights, airports, hotels, retail, restaurants, everywhere. People are struggling to get staff. And from your comments during the week, and thanks to those people that did comment about staff shortage issue, it looks like it's a problem around the world where people are just got different priorities now as we emerge from COVID. 3 years has had a pretty profound effect on the world as I enjoy Williams coffee. Excuse me. Oh, that's strong. Got something secret in it, I think. 45,000 Australian dollars, says Ian. That's the price in Australia for an Atto 3. Yeah, I'm paying 1,199,000. Now, before you go, oh, you've got too much money. I try and upgrade my cars every 5 or 6 years. I've done that most of my life. 5 years seems to be the sort of optimal time to still get a bit of value in the resale price of your second-hand car. But I used to, buy all the sort of latest fancy sports cars and stuff. My God, I've wasted so much money over my life. But this car is very practical, and I'm hoping that driving around an electric car is going to be an interesting experience. One thing I have to say that really attracted me to this car, and when you get into an electric car for the first time and you put your foot on the accelerator, there's a strange sensation because there's no noise. The car starts moving without any engine noise. Of course, once you start getting over 30, 40, 50 kilometres an hour, you do get road noise and wind noise. But there's no engine noise. But beyond that, which I suppose is a sensation you get used to very quickly, what I found about the BYD Atto 3 is it was so profoundly normal. I felt like I was driving a normally aspirated 4-cylinder SUV. It didn't feel particularly weird. It steered like normal. I mean, there are a lot of different tweaks you can make to the handling, the braking, the acceleration. You can actually tweak those things in the software. So it's actually a quite new way of driving. But the reason I really enjoyed it, by the way, if you do put your foot down, it does 0 to 100 or 0 to 60 in 7.3 seconds. So it's no slouch. It's not a Tesla. It's not designed to be a sports car. It's meant to be an SUV. But when you put your foot down, things happen. But it's also, it appears to be very reliable. And as I said, it's just a very nice car to drive. So it's going to suit me, I think, fine. Full EV cars have only 100% import tax compared to the usual 300% non-EV. Well, if it's got 100% import tax, I don't think it has to cost more than 600,000 baht. That doesn't make sense to me. I think they've got some reduction of the import tax. Thug Life says, looking forward to the day they can make power tools that are noiseless. Let me say, around my housing development that I live in, I wish they'd do the whipper snippers, going around the edges, all on one day, preferably when I'm not there. But they don't. They seem to do it every morning about 7 o'clock, usually right before I'm about to do a show. Thank God it's not a Tesla, says Hans. Giles says, and what happens if you get corrupt software update? Shit happens, I suppose. Look, I think there's going to be problems with any type of machinery. I'm not sure about, I think the service cycle for this car is every 15,000 Ks. What do? It's sort of an electric engine. It doesn't really have any parts rubbing together or wearing out or such. So I'm not exactly sure. If there's a corrupt software update, then hopefully they can fix it up as soon as they can. You can actually have it so they can make software updates randomly without you even knowing about it. So it's all amazing technology, and I'll have fun learning about the ins and outs of driving a car like this. It is a different experience, and I'm always up for a challenge. So let's see what it's like. As long as the electric cars make you happy and it feels good, go for it. Tom, I'm soon going to find out, and you are going to hear more about it than most other people, because I'll be telling you all about the goods and the bads of having this car. They're not giving me a discount, they're not paying me to say anything about it, but I think it might be interesting just to share my experience using it on a day-to-day basis, and also doing a trip like from Phuket to Bangkok. How far can I go? Where are the charging stations? How long does it take to charge? What do you do while you're waiting for the car to charge? It doesn't take like a minute refilling a tank with petrol. It takes an hour, 2 hours. What do you do? Do they have a restaurant there? Do they have a place where you can have a coffee? I'll soon find out, and I'll pass it on to you. Less moving parts, no petrol or oil. Well, that's exactly right. So the consumables in the car are a lot less. And it's very cheap, actually, to do a full charge of an electric car. Well, obviously a lot cheaper than filling it with petrol. So again, the running costs of this electric car will be an interesting experience. And I'll be giving you the real costs, not what the car makers say. Buy a really long power extension cord, says Ian. Yeah, I've done that joke a few times the last couple of weeks as well. Tim Uncensored, says Mick. When have I been censored? The only things I'm censored is things that I self-censor myself about, where I know there are issues that I need to be aware of. But yeah, hopefully I'm usually uncensored. Robbie, we're talking about this damn car. 8-year, 160,000 kilometre battery warranty on the BYD is pretty good. So, and 6 years on the rest of the car. Yes, if the battery has an 8-year or 160,000 kilometre battery warranty. Bars will start offering free charging in Phuket, like free Wi-Fi. Yeah, I think one thing that there could be a lot more of, and it would make the whole world quieter here in Thailand, is electric motorbikes. There are a few of them available. They're not overly expensive. I think they're quite zippy, and that might be the next thing. I mean, I've got 2 motorbikes as it is, and I'm quite happy with them. They're still going strong. I don't think you can kill these motorbikes here in Thailand. They just go on and on and on. But one day I think I'd look at getting an electric motorbike. I'm sure they'd have to be quieter than most of the motorbikes they drive around here. Look up the Volt electric car. I'm not sure if they're available here in Thailand. The Volt, is that the Chevrolet made car? If it is, Chevrolet have left Thailand, so I'm not sure if you can get it here. I might have everything wrong there, I'm not sure. Kids will start putting loudspeakers on their electric motorbikes to make them loud. Yes, you can't have a quiet motorbike. What a silly idea is that? New battery cost. I don't know. Was it 80,000 baht? I just sort of remember that somewhere in my... It's a question I asked. It might be more than that. It's probably a lot more than that. It doesn't sound like that would be right. But yeah, I mean, after 8 years, if I have to fork out for a new electric battery, I don't think that's... and of course, the cost of batteries will come down. and also the newer battery technology and newer batteries built in the future will probably last for longer. So I think a lot of investment now in electric technology. It is certainly the future for cars and automobiles generally. They've just got to bring the price down. Well, I think the price has already come down on these cars. And they've got to find the most environmentally sensitive way of producing these electric batteries, which I think BYD have had a bit of a breakthrough, and the new technology is what attracted me to this particular car. Plenty of wind farms in Thailand. Are there, Mark? I'm not aware of that many wind farms, but tell us where they are, because in my driving around, I haven't seen that many, to be honest. Last longer, be a lot lighter, says Ian. Well, I think actually the electric batteries are quite heavy. The good thing is, though, they're right in the bottom of the car, which is where the weight should be, rather than hanging out the front of the car. So this is why they usually handle quite well. In England, all new homes being built have to have a car power point, says No Doubt. It's interesting to know. And I think, if governments reduce the taxes on these cars, if they get behind the technology, if they encourage the building of recharging stations, then there's no doubt the public will adapt to finding these cars what they want. The design, I think, also a lot of electric cars, they look great. And that, I think, it also gives the designers some different options in how to design the cars. You don't have to have a radiator grille, for example. And so the fronts of these cars can look quite different. And the location of the engine is not so critical to the weight of the car, because the electric engines are actually very light. I have 4 wind turbines. Oh, this is Frank telling us about his off-the-grid. I've got 4 wind turbines, 800 watts each. They stand still 90% of the time. Wind farms are in Korat. That's Nakhon Ratchasima, about 3-hour drive northeast of Bangkok. Okay, great. Good to see. Gruntmax, boost cooling. I like my supercharged Kawasaki. Yeah, I think there are going to be people who still love their petrol engines for whatever reason. And I grew up with petrol engines and a lot of interesting and exotic cars. But I also like new technology. I like trying out something new. I like being challenged. So it'd be interesting to find out how these cars do. How long have we been doing this? My God. Oh, hi, Stephen. Sent me a message on Facebook. Merry Christmas to you. Oh, that's tomorrow, by the way. Not Christmas today. Save the Merry Christmases till tomorrow. I just Googled BYT Atto 3 prices, starting at $43,000. Beautiful interior. And that's from KK Knock. $43,000. Is that US dollars, Canadian dollars, Oz dollars? Starting at 43,000 something dollars. Thanks for that information, KK Knock. Thug Life, an electric vehicle Bangkok will significantly reduce its notorious pollution. US dollars he was referring to. Thug Life, this is interesting. If you do have a situation in Bangkok where they perhaps reduce the passage of trucks, they replace the buses with electric vehicles, and they do start introducing maybe a tax on petrol or diesel vehicles and encourage electric cars, over time it will certainly help Bangkok's notorious pollution. During the week, Bangkok's had some horrendous pollution, and we're now getting into the pollution season between now and say about April. And I'm sure I'll be covering the pollution problems as I do every year, and particularly up north around Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, and the north of Thailand, where they suffer enormously with crippling air pollution. So we'll get into those issues, I'm sure. Again, as we do every year, it's a bit one of those things you can put in your calendar. Air pollution, circle 4 months of the year. Kimo says, I hope I can be your driver when I come there, after when I come from the Tiger Studio with Jay. Okay, thanks Kimo. Good luck. Okay, plenty of... Ian telling us he's got plenty of wind at the moment. How about an EV Aston Martin? Yeah, that's not going to happen. I can't afford a toy Aston Martin, as much as I'd like to. So I had all these other stories I was going to share with you today and have a talk about, and you don't seem to want to talk about them anyway. What else did I have? The New Year celebrations being cancelled in Pattaya. We talked about, once again, just enjoy this photo of Charles Sobhraj on the flight from Kathmandu to Qatar, and look at that woman next to him. She was so happy to be sitting next to a serial killer. Great photo. That's got to get some sort of award this year. Okay, let's just finalise our comments and then we'll sort of finish this. Been completely rambling this morning. We haven't really addressed anything in particular. I don't think we've done anything serious at all. That photo, yes, that woman saying, "Can I please move to another seat?" Doesn't look like there's any spare seats in the plane. You think they'd probably check with the passengers if they're going to put you next to a well-known serial killer. Excuse me, madam, do you mind sitting next to a serial killer? Tim, I try humour, no good, sorry. It's okay, Kimmo, don't you worry. Appreciate your comments, your thoughts, and it's great to hear from you. Thank you so much for your daily news program, says Graham. Thank you, Graham, appreciate that. Thanks for the good content. Season's greetings all from Ian. Hans says, will the tuk-tuk mafia charge an extra 1,000 Thai baht to drive you to Patong from the airport, a green surcharge? Look, I've had quite a few emails this week from people who've had awful experiences with the tuk-tuk and taxi mafia here in Phuket. Again, so tomorrow, by the way, is 9 a.m. Thai time, same as today, but I'll be doing it from my home tomorrow. So they're saying that they're being gouged, they're having arguments with the drivers, they're being charged ridiculous prices. If you're coming to Phuket, just be aware that there is a cabal which runs the tuk-tuks and the taxis here, and the prices are extortionate. They're ridiculous, and they're some 3 to 4 times the prices you'd expect to pay in, say, Bangkok. Pattaya seems largely to have sorted it out, but not here in Phuket. They had 3 years, God, they've had 30 years to sort out the problems with the taxis and the tuk-tuks. For whatever reason, the government don't, or they can't. So just be aware that you are going to be gouged when you come here. The prices for travel are ridiculous. Hire a car, hire a motorbike, make sure you have a license, make sure you are insured, but hire a motorbike, that's a way around it. There's no other public transport here. Just find a good hotel and a good beach and then stay there for the week. But if you do have to use the taxis and the tuk-tuks around here, beware that you are going to be gouged, that the prices are ridiculous. And some of the taxi drivers are not particularly pleasant to people. 500 baht to the airport from Lamai. In Koh Samui? That's ridiculous. 500 baht in Bangkok and you get halfway to Pattaya. Graham says maybe the woman next to the serial killer is more concerned that he's not wearing a mask. Fair comment. Fair comment. I think she's more worried about him being a serial killer, just between you and me. Tom Shannon says we have pretty massive flooding in the US recently, and one of the things that have happened is electric cars that have been submerged have been spontaneously catching on fire at the salvage yards. Look, I've heard a few of these stories. I know I did check with the BYD people, and they said that the batteries and the actual electric engines are sealed. So if they do get wet, they're protected. And I think some of the older battery technology does have a bit of a problem with spontaneous fires. Just ask Boeing. and the manufacturers of the 787. I did note, however, when I checked about this, that the new generation of blade batteries, as they're called, in the BYD cars don't have this problem of catching on fire. But like any new technology, there's going to be some problems and some challenges, and I'm sure that all the manufacturers are trying to sort out these problems as soon as they can. But thank you for that. Almost next to impossible to put them out. Thank you, Tom. Hans Schellenberg, can't wait to see the first Tesla semi-fire will be visible from space. Yeah, those Tesla trucks, they must have big battery packs. Rachel Masters says, comment, let's hope they searched him properly before letting him on the plane. I'm pretty sure they did. Talking about Charles, forget his surname. I'm not going to spend much brain space worrying about him or thinking about him. The coffee's making me quite gassy. Robbie, taxi and Uber gouging is rampant in Melbourne right now. Okay, that's about it. Thailand's experienced a revival of Chinese tourists. Thailand is expecting, a revival of Chinese tourists. Don't you think it's dangerous presently? Look, I mean, obviously they're having a surge of COVID at the moment. At the moment, there is no surge of Chinese tourists coming to Thailand, more like a trickle. We do have a surge, however, of Russian tourists coming into Thailand at the moment. And yes, there is a rise in both hospitalisations and deaths from COVID in Thailand at this time. But I would recommend that people take some sort of precautionary measures without necessarily getting over worried about it. And if you're in a place like Bangkok, you will notice that a lot of the Thai people are still wearing a mask. And therefore I would recommend that if you come to Bangkok, that you keep one in your pocket. And if everybody around you is wearing a face mask, whether you think it's a good idea or not, if you think the science is there or not, just be polite and put one on. There's no use making a stand in the middle of a BTS train thinking that anybody's going to care about whether you think you should be wearing a mask or not when everyone else around you is. Okay, so let's leave it there. And we've been here for 67 minutes, my goodness! And we've talked about absolutely bugger all. I still wear a mask when I scuba dive. I like the dual mics, very professional. As I said, Hans, it's not to do with being professional, it's to do with the fact that my other mic died. So after today, thank you very much to those people who kindly donated. That was not solicited, it was not expected, but very generous of you. And I do appreciate that, and I'm going to go out and buy a new mic this week. Probably wait till I get to Bangkok where I've got a much better range. And I'll probably get another one of these, what was it, starts with a B. Can't remember, Boya, B-O-Y-A. It's a great little unit, a remote mic, a rechargeable remote mic. Worked well for a year. Hans, thank you very, very much. That's very kind. Appreciate it. I hope you had a good time in Thailand this year. I know you watch most of the programs, and hopefully you find them useful. Hans says, I just bought a Boya, great mic. Yeah, I know, the Boya brand are, they're not like Sennheiser, or they're not like Technics, they're not that well known, but I find them very reliable. And at the end of the day, a lot of these small sort of mics, they don't last that long, no matter which brand you buy. You've got to take a certain amount of care with them because the wires are very thin and you're poking them up your shirts, and it's very easy to break the circuitry on these. So yeah, Hans, just be careful with it, and it should give you a good lifetime. Okay, so yes, Hans saying that they're built in Shenzhen, China. What isn't? Gee, that's the sort of factory hub of the world, isn't it? Okay, so thank you very much. Great to have you with us today. Our pre-Christmas show, probably a bit more random than I would have hoped. But anyway, it's been great talking to you. I don't even know what we've talked about for the last hour. But tomorrow, we're going to be doing a Christmas show, and we might have a bit of fun. Might be boring as hell, but at least we'll do it together and spend some Christmas time together tomorrow. Thanks very much to those people that joined in. Thank you for the very kind donations, and it's much appreciated, not expected, but when it does happen, it's delightful, and I'm overwhelmed with gratitude. Amazing. So thanks very much. Thank you to William for dropping in. I'm going to have one of these right now. See you tomorrow if you're around. Otherwise, we're back on Monday to Friday, all next week, right throughout the holiday period. We're doing our TNT program. So if not for tomorrow, we'll see you on Monday with another TNT. Bye for now.